Hi there, welcome back to the channel. In the previous episode, we discussed opportunities for electrical engineers who are interested in international projects. In this episode though, I'm going to do a 180-degree U-turn and we will look for opportunities for electrical engineers in power systems industry so that they can work from home. Now these are two polar opposites. One involves international traveling, being on the road, working on the field, long hours, opportunities for overtime, experiencing different cultures, different cuisines, interacting with individuals with different backgrounds, traveling, sightseeing, and so on. And the other polar opposite is that you're staying comfortably at your home and working remotely. Now, depending on your personal preferences, your personality type, the stage in your life, your circumstances, you may prefer one over the other. If you like the comfort of your home, have laid your roots, maybe have young kids, strong family ties, social connections, friends, and heavily invested in the community and the infrastructure around you, then the attraction and temptation of traveling internationally may not have as big of a pull on you as it might for someone else who's craving for those opportunities. So as an electrical engineer, how can you find remote work opportunities? I'll be quite honest, most of the employers, as we have seen post-pandemic, prefer professionals in pretty much all industries to work from the offices. And there are many reasons for that. The general perception is that office work is more conducive to team building. From a management standpoint as well, you're able to more seamlessly interact with individuals without having to schedule Zoom meetings and so on. And the old saying, out of sight, out of mind, is probably at play as well. Maybe the middle managers and even senior managers do like to have that face time. They maybe want to visibly see you working. Or maybe since they've already paid the lease for the office, might as well use it. So whatever the reason is, we have noticed that all different types of companies, employers and industries, whether you're talking about financial sector, banks, insurance companies, government bodies, agencies, municipalities, engineering firms, tech industry, Amazons, Googles, Apples, they have either fully recalled all of their employees back to offices, or they have come up with a hybrid approach where you're allowed to work a maximum of 1 or maybe 2 days per week remotely. So in this situation, as an electrical engineer, how can you find opportunities for remote work? And the answer is that such opportunities don't really exist for all electrical engineers. As you probably know, I help students prepare for FE electrical and PE power exams. I've written several books on the topic of FE electrical and PE power exam preparation, and I also run popular exam preparation program for FE electrical and PE power. I stay in touch with my students even after they've become professional engineers. If you're a junior engineer or an intermediate engineer or even a senior engineer without a PE designation, you are still reliant upon a professional engineer, a PE, to take responsibility for the work that you have done, because the PE is going to be acting as a check, as a signing authority for the work that you have participated in. Now, if you yourself are taking full liability and responsibility of your own work, then from the standpoint of the employer, there is very little QA/QC that is required. It doesn't mean that PEs can work in isolation completely and get things done. You have to have a QA/QC process. Even the work of a PE will be checked by a checker. But as you can imagine, from the standpoint of a client or your employer, you are less risky when you're using your stamp, your signatures, your seal, and taking full liability and responsibility of the work. It is under these circumstances that a lot of employers are willing to offer you remote work opportunities. So a company might be based in California, you might be living in Georgia. There might be time differences, but even then, if you have the PE designation, if you have the skill set and the experience that they're looking for, chances are that they will be more inclined to offer you remote work opportunities than hire somebody locally in California who is available to work in person but is not a PE, especially if that particular job requires a professional engineer. Now, obviously, if you're a PE in Georgia, you have to get your PE in California, and if you've passed both FE and PE exams, then in most of the cases, through reciprocity, you can very quickly get licensed in any other state. Now, you might be wondering, are there other opportunities if you're not a PE where you can work remotely? There are, but then you have to have very specialized skill set. For example, if you're a power system studies specialist, technically you can work from anywhere. You simply need access to SKM, ETAP, PSCAD, or any other software that you're using for system modeling and studies, and you can be be working from your home or any other remote location. But you have to be really good at it, because the employer is still going to have some sort of overhead associated with making this job available to you in the format of a remote work. Chances are that they will have to have some engineers or electricians or additional staff feeding you with field data. If you were working out of office, then you can collect all of that data in the field. But now, since you are working remotely, somebody has to provide you those information, and they will be willing to do that for you only if you are world class. Another example of remote work, which is not true remote work, is that if you are an expert in commissioning or testing or startup, you can have some sort of a hybrid arrangement with the employer where you become the go-to person for all the factory acceptance testing. So majority of the time you're working from home in terms of creating reports and documentation and scopes of work. And then whenever there is testing on site or at a vendor location, at a client location, you are the go-to person who witnesses the test, who leads the testing, commissioning, and startup. And when you're not on site or traveling, you're working from home, either preparing project-specific documents, scope of works, doing estimation, budgeting, calculations, design reviews, or any other activity where your skill set allows you to operate independently. So to summarize this video, there are several opportunities for electrical engineers to work remotely. But in most of these opportunities, you have to have some sort of a unique credential or a skill set or a combination of the two. In my personal opinion, I strongly recommend junior engineers and intermediate engineers and even senior engineers who believe that they have hard skills to accumulate and want to learn the dynamics of carrying out engineering design, want to learn from mentors, understand multidisciplinary projects, the do's and don'ts of office environment, and other hard and soft skills, that try not to go for remote work opportunities very early on in your career. If you have any suggestions, comments, or questions about remote work opportunities for electrical engineers, or any tips as to how electrical engineers who are seeking such opportunities can make it happen, please share them in the comment section of this video. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing, because on a weekly basis, I'm creating content related to electrical engineering with a special focus on power systems engineering. I'll see you in the next episode on interesting careers in power systems industry. Thank you. If you like this video, then please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Feel free to ask me any questions in the comment section of this video below. You can find tons of success stories of my FE Electrical and PE Power students over here. And if you want to learn more about preparation of FE Electrical and Computer exam and the PE Power exam, then check out these playlists over here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon in the next video.